Hi everyone, I'm Sarah and welcome to Nursing the Garden. If you're loving your strawberry patch as much as I do, you're going to want to multiply those juicy strawberries without spending a cent. So then this video is going to be for you. So today I'm going to show you how I propagate strawberry plants easily and we do it without spending a cent. So whether you're wanting to expand your strawberry patch or if you want to share it with family and friends, then I'm going to take you through some really simple steps to give you an endless supply of strawberries, and it's great to get the kids involved. So let's get started. Okay, so strawberries are one of those plants that keep on giving, and not only do they produce delicious fruit, but they also propagate themselves really easily and naturally. So today we're going to talk about the two main methods of propagating strawberries, and that's through runners and division. Both are very easy to do and they're very rewarding, and the best part is you'll end up with lots of healthy, productive plants year after year. And as we can see here, this little patch, I literally started with one main strawberry plant, and I've just propagated and divided and managed to get a whole garden bed full of strawberries. Okay, so the first method we're going to talk about is runners. So strawberries love to send out runners. They're usually long, horizontal branches or stems that grow out from the parent plant like this. They usually start producing these at about towards the end of summer. And it's just nature's way of ensuring there are more strawberries. The great thing about runners is they're already connected to a healthy plant. So this is the mother plant here, and it's come out and sent a strawberry plant out this way. And so this stem produces the nutrients from the mother plant to the baby plant to keep the baby plant alive while it's forming. So let's have a look at this runner here. And it's come down here to the baby plant. And that's normally with a runner, it's not, when it first forms, it's not actually dug into the ground, hasn't formed its roots. So it normally just sits on top of the ground, and you can move it around wherever you want it. Now, this one has formed its roots. As you can see, it's easily dug up. And you can see it's still attached. Oops, I've just broken it off. But that's now its own separate little plant. Okay, so we've just found a separate spare spot in the garden. Dig it down. Roots go down into the soil. This part here is the crown. We don't want to bury that too deeply. So we kind of bury the soil up until the top of the crown. Done. Really easy. Let's find another one. Okay, so here's another one with a runner. This is the parent plant. This is the baby plant. Now, during summer, this stem is green and very mobile. You could move it all over the place. It has a little formation of leaves at this end, and sometimes this will then produce a secondary runner off it as well. But as we can see here, we've come out of spring and come out of winter and we're in spring. And this is brown. Now, if we go back to summertime, and this is green and mobile, we can now move this plant wherever we want it, put it on the ground, cover the stem, pin it down, put a rock on it, put mulch over it, and that plant will then root wherever you want it. But as you can see, I haven't done that, and it's still rooted anyway. This is very much in its place. So you could do, let's presume we're summer and this stem's green. There we go. So that's one where it has a secondary plant. You see that? Runner, plant, runner. Okay. So in summertime, I would move this to wherever I want it. Here, which is where I want it to be in the first place. Bury it. It's established. It will establish its roots, and then you can come along with scissors or secateurs or something once it's established its roots, and then we can cut that. Or, like I am, I've just broken that off. And I'm going to just break this one off as well. So we've now got another plant. Okay, so while I was just tidying up the garden, I've come across this, and in my haste I've pulled the stem off. But that's the runner attached to the main plant this end. You then get a little leaf. So in summer, again, this stem would be green. You then get these little plants. Let's see if we can get that to focus. Get these little plants, and they don't have roots on them. They're just little leaves. All right? And they form these funny little clusters at the bottom. They eventually will form roots. And I would even put those in the ground. They may. Bearing in mind though, most of that nutrient that they would be getting would be coming from that stem. I have hundreds of strawberry plants. I personally wouldn't do. I'm not going to bother. I've got others that I need to plant at this point. Okay, so that's runners. There is a downside of runners. They say that because they're busy trying to grow a plant, that they take away from the growth of the strawberries themselves, and so you get smaller strawberries. The other downsides is this can happen. And I don't know if we can see those very clearly, but these are strawberry plants that are growing up in the grass. If you need to have bigger strawberries, or if you don't want this to happen, firstly you can cut the runners before they form new plants. Or, as I said, just make sure you've moved those runner stems into a place where you want the strawberries to grow. But strawberries, as you can see, are pretty easy, as I've shown, are pretty easy to dig up and move. The second way that we can propagate strawberries is through division. Now, some strawberry plants don't send out runners, and in fact nurseries often market those as runnerless strawberries as a selling point because of what I just showed you. You don't have runners showing up in your lawn, for example. But you can still propagate those plants. The other thing is, when you've got strawberry plants that even if they do send out runners, like this particular one, the plant can become old and less productive. So it's always worth digging it up and dividing it. So let's get into that, and we'll do that, and I'll show you how easy it is. Now, everyone says to be gentle to make sure you get all the roots. I just get a little bit of distance away from the root, and we just dig it. So again, runners usually will form in the first year. You divide your plants maybe year 2 or year 3. Okay, so that's my plant. It's got a big root ball, doesn't matter too much. All right, now if we can look here, you can see there's a strawberry plant crown here that's quite separate. So we can separate that. Says I, you can do it very easily. Right, there we go, I'm just breaking it off. Let me go get a knife. Okay, so I've got a knife. Now normally they're pretty easy to pull apart, but I think because I've got a great big dirt root ball here, it's proved itself a bit easier. Obviously this is a very sharp knife and not for children, okay? So this is how gentle you need to be with the strawberry plants. Okay, get in there and cut it. All right, so just to show again, we've got the two, there's a crown there that it feels like it's going to pull apart. One plant. Two. Three. There's this great big root ball. Now this is the one that I broke off here. Dirt is so moist and beautiful. I think that's part of the problem. But if I look at this, I think that would still grow anyway, so I would plant that. If it doesn't matter. I've already harvested three, already propagated three. So if that one doesn't grow, oh, beautiful worm. If that doesn't grow, doesn't matter. All right, so I'm not going to count that one just at the minute. Let's have a look. I think this one's just been a bit long in the ground. That's why let's cut it again. Now this one's got two crowns. You could pull them apart. I'm going to leave it. So that's our fourth plant that we've harvested. That one I've chopped in half. That's probably not going to grow, so get rid of that one. What have we got here? Here's a funny little one at the side. 5. 6. It's got a nice little root ball on it. Camera's struggling. 6. 'Let's get this one here. All right, let's see. I've actually lost count how many I've got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 plants out of that one, plus this one. 8 plants. So that's another great way to propagate lots of plants. Okay, so I've just dug up another one, which has got nice crowns. So, literally, it just pulls apart. That one you could keep together, or you could get a knife and split it. I'm going to keep it together. You can see that that's got a runner coming off it. Pull that off. And now we just plant that back in the ground. And again, remembering planting the roots, leaving the crown. Oh, another nice worm. Leaving the crown. You don't want to bury the crown. That's it. And water her in. Now these, along with the others, one plant split into 3. I'm going to go pot these 2 up, along with the other ones that we separated earlier, and then we can give them away as gifts. Okay, so we've moved over to the potting bench, which is actually just an edge on a garden, and the reason I like to use this predominantly is it's a reasonable height for me to stand at, and I can put the stuff that I'm working on at a good height. Anything that gets spilled, as you can see, just goes into the garden, helps the plants. And I've got my watering can and potting mix or compost down ready to go, and I get this view which is getting better and better. Like, who wouldn't want to be out here today? Anyway, this is why I get distracted. So let's set up the little camera. So I've got some various pots here. You could just use like your standard pot. The reason I don't is that takes up a lot of compost. Okay, so I tend to use smaller pots, particularly for my strawberries. And as you can see, the strawberry plants don't have deep roots, so they don't need big pots, yeah? So let's get started. Just put my gloves on. And I just take my, which you can't see on camera because it's just a one-man show, but I just fill up my pot with the compost. So they're all filled up with, or half filled with soil. Oh my gosh, you can see how gentle I am with these things. Like, they're very easy for people to grow. Very easy for kids to grow. Like, don't be afraid. Just get in there and they just want to grow. Get rid of all of those dead leaves. That one probably could be in a bigger pot, but we work with what we've got and it will be fine regardless. God, listen to those birds, it's just beautiful. This is all part of my self-care and mindfulness. Like, I have no music, I don't listen to podcasts. People do, and that's okay, but I don't. I sit here and I'm looking at my scenery, which you've just seen, and I listen to the bird life and I'm standing next to a plant that's filled with bees. So I can hear them buzzing. It's just a good time. Oh, and what is it? It's 9 o'clock in the morning, end of September, and I'm already, it's warm enough for me to be in a short sleeve t-shirt. Like, that sun, the early morning sun is just so good for you. It's full of serotonin and it's wakes you up. It's good for your cortisol levels as well. Alright, so that's those all filled, and you could see how, like, I'm not gentle. Alright, then last step, you water them in. The potting mix was kind of dry. Actually, it wasn't potting mix I used compost, just a mushroom compost. If they were going to stay in pots permanently, you probably should use a potting mix, because the potting mix will prevent the soil or the growing matter from drying out. But I just use compost because this is just a temporary scenario, but you can certainly grow strawberries in pots. And in fact, if you've got them at your back door, you don't have to walk as far to collect them. So that's how you pot up strawberries. Where do I get my pots from? Like, to be honest, I have a problem. I'm not going to show you my pot storage, but local nurseries and hardware stores often have a collection area where you can go and dump your old pots and you can collect your new pots. So there you go, that's 2 easy ways to propagate your strawberry plants, and whether you use it as divisions or runners or both, you'll have a heap of strawberries in no time. I'm about to duck off to the nursery and grab myself some mulch, so be sure to follow along and subscribe so that you see the next video where I show how you look after your strawberries. And if you have any comments or anything that you want to add about this video, or if you have any tips yourself, feel free to comment below. And that's it from me, from Sarah, and you've been nursing in the garden. I hope to see you next time. Bye.